Elliot, I think it bears mentioning that this site, Tel Beersheba, where we are right now, is, I don't know, some 3,800 years old?
And his origins, yes.
Wow, so Abraham was here almost 4,000 years ago. Abraham, Father Abraham, as many call him. Look, Judaism, Christianity, even Islam consider Abraham the father of the faith. This is monotheistic religion.
Yes, absolutely.
And where we're standing right now plays a pivotal part in the Abraham story in the Bible. This is a well, as people can see, but it's not just any well. Tell us why this, Elliot, is so significant in the Genesis story and in the Abraham story.
This is traditionally the well that Abraham dug. And I think here we have to remember, the well precedes all of this. Imagine that wide open space, and he digs wells because in this area, as we mentioned before, it's not the land, this wide open space desert, it's water. Now, in the winter, it may rain here, there may be running water in the valleys, but winter is a very short period.
Folks, it is hot here, by the way, just so you know.
It's not summer yet.
No.
The well is really the anchor point. This is where you get your water year-round, where you can water your flocks, where you can water yourself. And you should know if you're out here during the day doing exercise, we're talking about today's standards, a liter of water per hour drinking.
You're staying hydrated all day.
4 gallons it's a gallon in 4 hours. It's a lot of water. If you don't have it, you can't survive here. Of course, this is the place where the conflict between Abraham and not the leaders of the Philistines, but Philistines who are out here who steal his wells.
They take this well,
Yes.
this ancient, nearly 4,000-year-old well, and first of all, the Philistines, I didn't know they were there that early. That's fascinating.
Yes.
I knew they came from the Greek Isles,
Right.
settled along the coast here.
Yes. Well, the land of the Philistines is the area of Ashkelon, Gaza today. One theory is that they tried to conquer the Egyptians. They failed, but the Egyptians saw they were great fighters, and they employed them as proxy forces to protect the entryway into Egypt from Mesopotamia. But what's interesting is that we're not technically in the land of the Philistines here.
No.
We're east of it, we're out in the desert. And this brings us to, I think, an interesting point, that in those days, you didn't have borders the way we do today with a line on the map, and you're on this side and I'm on that side. But land was much more about control. If your army could reach out to it, you controlled it. If there was an army on the other side, there might be an overlap of influence and power without an exact border between the two. So we're not strictly in the land of the Philistines, but the Philistines' influence reaches out to here. This is a time when there are no real borders in that sense, but rather influence and power. Real borders only begin in the book of Joshua, chapter 14 and beyond, where the borders of the tribes are delineated point by point, location, location. What happens here is the Philistines are out there grazing, they need the water, they take the wells.
Including this one.
Including this one. And Abraham complains to Abimelech, the king, and the king comes out and significantly comes out with his general, the leader of his army. In other words, this is not just a political issue, it's a military issue. And that's where they have the covenant between them. And the well is known as the well of the covenant or the promise. Beersheba comes from that.
So that's what it translates into. So Abimelech comes out with his general. He's ready to go to battle with Abraham over this well. But Abraham, according to the book of Genesis, proves, hey, this was I dug this. This is mine.
That's right.
It's a very deep well, by the way, as people can see here.
Yes. Abimelech doesn't want to go to war with Abraham because he already knows Abraham is the chosen one.
Oh, yeah.
And you don't mess with him because you get into trouble.
That's right.
He learned that with Sarah.
Oh, yeah.
After that, they built a city here. And the origin of the city, some 3,500 years ago, but the city that really establishes this place comes later in the time of David and Solomon.
You know, Elliot, you mentioned how Abimelech kind of learned the hard way about Abraham's favored position in the eyes of God Almighty.
Yes.
He had a dream, a very disturbing dream, where God said, hey, you took Abraham's wife, you're in big trouble.
And he said, I did what? I thought she was his sister.
Because Abraham told Abimelech in an attempt to keep the peace, oh, Sarah's my sister, she's not my wife.
And I think it's an interesting example, and it's a rather common one in the Hebrew scriptures, that even the greats, whether it's Abraham, Isaac, Jacob, Moses,
Yeah.
are human beings. David, human beings. These are people who are in constant interaction with God, and yet they have their moments.
They're human.
And they're human. They're not perfect.
And some of them, Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, may have walked this very path where we are walking right now. Their feet may have tread these stones close to 4,000 years ago. But they're only human.
Yeah.
As you said, highly favored, anointed by God, but Abraham made a mistake there.
Great belief, but he said, you know what? I still have to cover myself.
Yeah. So there's kind of an uneasy truce, I guess you would say, with Abimelech, between Abraham and Abimelech. They make the truce over the well, kind of a peace treaty, we would say today, I guess.
And the text tells us that from that point on, he stays in the land of the Philistines for many days. In other words, he travels around also to the west, meaning closer to the Philistines, and back to here, because it's from here, of course, that he also leaves on the 3-day journey to Jerusalem to sacrifice Isaac, which of course, Mount Moriah, which of course the angel stops him. But it's from here he goes and then returns here, and then Sarah dies in Hebron. So apparently somewhere along the way there was another bit of a transition.
Yeah, but he spent a great amount of his time, folks, a great amount of the biblical narrative mentioning Abraham unfolded where Elliot and I are standing right now. Wow, the patriarch right here in Tel Beersheba. By the way, we had the one well conflict between Abimelech and Abraham. Then a little later on in the book of Genesis, Abimelech versus Isaac, Abraham's son, once again over a well, right?
Yes. And it shows, again, that importance of water in this area, more so than land per se.
Yeah.
Especially for grazers. And here let's keep in mind that we're talking about Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, and his children are shepherds. Moses, shepherd. In other words, there's a recurring theme here. And the idea of control over an area, but ultimately those anchor points, the anchor points of the wells down here.